There were 75 deaths in Squid Game Season 3, but every death has a reason. Some were heartbreaking, some were pure horror, and the last one? It came down to one thing: kill or die. We start with the harvesters, those who tore bodies open for profit. They thought they were untouchable, guards running an underground organ trafficking ring, killing eliminated players and selling their organs outside the game. No Ul shot player 246, Park Young-seok, right in front of them, claimed she wanted in on their ring. They bought it. 005 even brought her to the operating room himself. But Young-seok wasn't dead. He was bait. And the second the doctor opened him up, No Ul flipped the trap. 007 reached for a weapon. She shot him. 005 tried to fight back. He got her gun. She pulled another and shot him dead. 025 tried to run, shot on the leg, then skull. Only the surgeon remained, trembling as he patched Young-seok up. When it was done, No Ul gave him no mercy or judgment, and bang. One plan, one ambush, and 4 dead. But the next man wasn't like the others. He didn't bleed easy. He bled last. The masked officer didn't just run the ring, he ran No Ul's life. Blackmail, threats, promises he never planned to keep. He let her go once, gave her a boat key, a fake promise, and the illusion of escape. But she came back with a loaded gun and one demand: delete every trace of player 246. They entered the elevator, but he attacked first, and when the gun was lost, he pulled a knife. No Ul fought hard, but he stabbed her in the stomach and knocked her down. Then came his mistake. He stood over her talking, mocking, giving her his last words. But she didn't scream. She didn't beg. She crawled, quiet as death, right back to the elevator. And when he finally noticed she was reaching for the gun, he charged at her with the blade. But it was too late. No Ul shot him and turned his head into a bullet graveyard. The knife dropped. The body fell. And No Ul walked away, bloodied but alive. Not for revenge, for justice, and a record that still needed to burn. Justice was done. But the next kills? They were survival. No mercy, just blood. 60 players entered the maze. When the doors slammed shut, not all came back alive. No rules, no warnings. 2 teams. Red had a knife, blue had a key, and 30 minutes to survive. Let's start with the ones who got hunted first, by the Namgyu and Myunggi Nightmare team. We haven't seen much of player 235 in this series, but in the maze, that didn't matter. Myunggi and Namgyu found him first. He ran. He begged. But they didn't blink. 2 knives, 1 body, no chance. Next death wasn't much different. Player 411 ran in terror because behind him came 2 merciless hunters, Myunggi and Namgyu. They caught him fast and stabbed even faster until he was nothing but blood on the floor. These players were hunted like prey. But the next one? She didn't run. She fought. But even that wasn't enough. Cho Hyunju, player 120, a soldier, a rebel, and a protector to the very end. She voted X to stop the games, but when that failed, she stayed strong, not only for herself, but for the people still counting on her. In the hide-and-seek game, Hyunju teamed up with Gyumja and Junhee, a rare trio where all 3 had keys that could open the exit, but things went bad fast. Player 226 chased Gyumja and Junhee like prey. When Junhee tripped and fractured her ankle, he saw his shot, but standing between him and the kill was player 120, Cho Hyunju. He tried to cut a deal.
Just move. Forgive me, sin. The little is the only one I'll kill. Or you just hand me grandma instead.
She didn't flinch. He lunged. She blocked. Then, in one sharp, desperate move, Hyunju drove her knife straight into his chest. Player 226 collapsed, eyes wide, not just from the pain, but from shock. The woman he thought was a shield turned out to be the sword. Then she helped deliver Junhee's baby. But player 202, he kicked in the wrong door. The one hiding Cho Hyunju, Gyumja, and Junhee with her newborn baby. He didn't pause. He saw targets. He charged. Hyunju blocked. What followed was raw, savage. Blood on the walls, steel flashing in the dark. She took a wound to the leg but stayed standing. He didn't. 3 stabs to the chest and player 202 also dead. Fast, final, and earned. Even after all that, Hyunju found the exit. She could have escaped. Instead, she turned back. She went to bring the others. That's when player 333, Lee Myung-gi, stabbed her 3 times in the back. She died as a protector. The next ones died as victims, not of the game, but of someone they believed in. Player 232 thought he had a shot. He found a teammate, a key, a door that might finally lead out of the blood-soaked maze. Im Jung-dae was right there with him, breathing heavy, clutching his own key like they had made it together. But behind that door wasn't freedom. It was player 349. Jung-dae just shoved 232 straight into the knife and slammed the door shut. 349 didn't miss. He stabbed 232 in the stomach, once, twice, and then thrice, and let him fall. But this betrayal was nothing in front of the next betrayal. Player 440 had one rule: stay smart, stay quiet, stay alive. She voted O every time, never stood out, never slipped up. But in hide and seek, one trade changed everything. She swapped vests with player 192, a simple deal, a survival trick, and became a blue team member. Except 192 didn't see it as a favor. He saw it as a chance and was found stabbing her in the stomach. Now we move to the ones whose faith didn't just guide them, it spilled their blood and sealed their fate. Both player 006, Mi Hua, and player 447 were devoted followers of Seonyo, loyal to every vision, every word, every wild promise she gave. They followed her into the maze like lambs to salvation, hoping faith would find them a way out. But when Seonyo turned and ran, they were left exposed. Namgyu struck first, stabbing Mi Hua in the neck. Seconds later, Myunggi stabbed player 447 3 times. Quick, surgical, final. No words, no pause, just read. Their goddess escaped, her disciples did not. But faith doesn't outrun fate for long. And the next player, she thought she could rewrite destiny itself. A self-proclaimed shaman, Seonyo didn't just play the game. She tried to rewrite it. She claimed visions, divine signs, and manipulated players into following her like disciples. After leading her cult straight into a slaughter, she latched onto Im Jong-dae, claiming their keys were a sign from the heavens. When they finally found the exit, she was the first one through. But Jong-dae wasn't buying the prophecy. He slammed the door behind her and locked it shut, leaving her alone. No followers, no visions, just silence. And then Minsu emerged from the shadows. Confused, panicked, and seeing someone else in her place, he stabbed her once, twice, then silence again. Her story ended in delusion, but the next death? It ended in love, regret, and a knife meant for someone else. Park Young-sik was Gumja's son, always loyal, but when it came down to it, loyalty needed a knife. Park Young-sik was on blue team. His mother, Gumja, was red, and she couldn't do it, couldn't kill, couldn't even pretend. So he gave her his vest.
I'll do it. I will try.
But he couldn't. Inside the maze, Young-sik found player 172, bruised, limping, begging.
I have a sick mother at home. Right now she's lying in a hospital bed.
He said, voice cracking. Young-sik froze. For a second, he couldn't do it either. That second was enough. 172 lunged for the knife, but before he could drive it in, player 203 came out of nowhere and stabbed him twice in the back. He dropped, bleeding out in silence. Young-sik kept moving, but time was almost up. He found Jun-hee, and this time, he raised his blade. He had to, but Gumja was behind him, and before her son could kill, she stabbed him through tears. He fell into her arms, whispering, and the 30 minutes were over. Then the guards pulled the trigger. A son who gave her mercy, a mother who gave it back. Too late. Now we move to other deaths. Player 400 screamed as player 276 stabbed her. Myunggi, thinking it was Jun-hee, ran toward the sound, only to find a player 400 already bleeding out on the floor. Player 359 tracked Kang Dae-ho through the maze, slashing his leg before lunging in, but Dae-ho shoved him away in panic. 359 slipped, tumbled down the stairs, and hit the floor with a snap. One fall, one death. Game over. Next up is a death born not from survival, but revenge that had been waiting in the dark. Kang Dae-ho from the start lied about being a Marine, but what he really wanted was to feel brave, just once. During the revolt, Dae-ho vanished. While the others bled and died, he hid among corpses, bullets just inches away. When Gi-hun saw him later in the maze, there were no words, only fury. Dae-ho ran. Gi-hun chased. They met at a stairwell. Dae-ho drew first, slashing wildly, shaking. Gi-hun dodged, pinned him to the wall. They fell to the ground, rolling, punching, snarling like animals. Then Gi-hun's hands locked around his neck. Dae-ho kicked, struggled, cried, but Gi-hun didn't stop. Dae-ho tried to explain, tried to pass the blame.
It's your fault.
But it was too late. Gi-hun tackled him and choked him out, rage in his fists, regret in his eyes. And as Dae-ho's final breath slipped out, so did Gi-hun's last shred of mercy. But this is not over yet. Not every death got a spotlight. Some fell in silence, some ran out of time, and some were never meant to make it past the edit. Blue team players like 009, 024, 197, 310, 344, 418 all hunted in the dark. No screams, no last words, just bodies in hallways, keys clutched tight. 105, 350, 394, stabbed off screen. Their killers didn't care about the camera, just the kill. Some trusted the wrong person. 134, chased down. 334, cornered. 241, caught while searching for hope. Even the red team bled. 8 of them, 443, 028, 048, 080, 119, 154, 191, and 296 failed to kill, so the guards killed them instead. One even tried to fight back. The rest didn't even scream. But not every death in this game comes with blood. Some come quietly, after everything worth living for is gone. And the next one? It broke something deeper than bone. Jeong Geum-ja didn't join for herself. She joined for her son, to save him, to pay off his debt. In Game 5, she pulled the red ball. It wasn't a death sentence, it was something worse. She had to kill. But Young-sik took her vest, took her role, and by the end of the game, he was lying dead in her arms. Then Hyun-ju died too, her whole reason to fight gone. That night, she begged the others to end it all, offered her prize money. Her voice cracked, but the vote was clear. The games would continue, so she gave Jun-hee one last reason to eat.
I know you don't want to, but you need food. That little girl of yours can't survive on her own.
Then she turned to Gi-hun and begged him to protect the baby. That night, she tied a cord to the ceiling, climbed onto the bed, and stepped off. 35 players were dead in the hide-and-seek, but after Geum-ja's death, it became 36. Her death was quiet and heavy. The next ones died screaming, loud, brutal, and desperate. It was the jump rope game. Just a spinning blade, a crumbling bridge, and 20 minutes to outrun death. 24 players stepped onto the jump rope bridge, but how many of them made it across? The first to fall wasn't chasing freedom. He was chasing a fix. One cross, one hit, one last high. And that's how the deaths began. Namgyu wasn't playing to win. He was chasing a ghost. Once a club promoter with everything, now just a twitching wreck clinging to a chain that used to hold his dead friend's stash. After losing Thanos, Namgyu clung to that cross like it was the last piece of his sanity. The cross meant everything to him, because inside it were the drugs he couldn't live without. But during hide and seek, he dropped it. And when the guards wouldn't let him get it back, the withdrawal hit like a truck. He started shaking, sweating, breaking down. Then came the jump rope game, and Min-soo had it. The cross. He held it up and smiled.
Hey, you feeling because of this?
Then he threw it into the center of the bridge. Namgyu ran after it, eyes wild, chasing hope. He grabbed it and froze. Empty. Just metal and nothing. That moment of shock was all it took. The spinning rope slammed into his ribs, launching him into the air. He dropped like a stone into the flowers below, dying for a high that was already gone. But the next two were so close to the end and still didn't make it. Player 456 made it across, then 096 followed, but when player 312 tried to join them, 096 turned and shoved him off the platform. Seconds later, player 276 stepped up, only for 096 to kick him straight off too. 2 players, 1 killer, and 0 room for mercy. Player 209 moved with the crowd, pushing forward step by step, but when 096 blocked the end, panic hit. Started jumping in place, desperate to avoid the rope. 209 jumped too, but mistimed it. The spinning rope smacked him mid-air and hurled him off the bridge. Player 163 stayed quiet, but in jump rope, when her turn came, she jumped with all her strength. But the metal rope swung fast. It smashed into her mid-air and she flew off the bridge. Player 192 and 442 were stuck like everyone else, jumping in place, while 096 blocked the end, ready to push. But when the rope came close, 192 panicked and lost his balance. He grabbed 442 to steady himself. Bad move, but their legs got caught by the metal mid-swing. 1 hit, both down, game over. Player 377 followed close behind 349, unsure but surviving. But when player 349 froze mid-bridge and tried to turn back, panic spread fast. She told player 377 to turn, but turning around was his last mistake. While turning, his foot got twisted and the rope hit him hard and fast. Then player 349 turned back, step by step, trying to return to where it all began. She nearly made it, reaching the edge of the bridge, when she stopped to cough, shaking with fear. Kim Gi-min walked up behind her and asked,
"You okay?"
Then, without waiting for an answer, he kicked her. 1 push, 1 fall. Player 084 trailed Jong-dae, trying to match his steps, put 1 wrong move, and he fell off the bridge off screen. Player 096 made it across first. Then he waited, blocking the way, pushing back anyone who dared come close. He even tried to make a deal with Gi-hun, let the others die, split the prize. But Gi-hun ruined it, helping the others survive. Furious 096 lunged to kill him. Gi-hun didn't hesitate. He jammed a nail straight into his eye and threw him backward. The rope spun, crack, one last snap, and 096 was gone. Player 435 had no allies, no enemies, just bad timing. He jumped too late and was gone before anyone noticed. Much like 435, player 436 jumped late. The rope caught her mid-air, a scream, a twist, and then silence. Player 260 stabbed 310 a round ago, but karma hit back fast. He jumped too early and was taken out off screen. He tried to leap the deadly gap, missed it, but caught the edge with both hands. Dangling, desperate, he screamed.
Just help me!
Myung-gi looked down and moved forward. 306's grip gave out. One slip, one scream, and he was gone. In Squid Game, even a near survival can end in silence. These players died fighting to survive, but the next one didn't fight at all. She just gave up. Kim Jun-hee came into the games pregnant, quiet, limping, carrying more than just debt, carrying life. Jun-hee didn't come to win. She came to survive long enough to give her child a chance. She gave birth during hide and seek, hidden in the dark while the dorm turned to a war zone. First Yeonju, then Jumja helped her escape, but the VIPs weren't horrified. They were thrilled. So they made the baby a contestant too, and they forced Jun-hee, ankle broken, to step onto the spinning rope bridge. She couldn't jump, couldn't even stand. Gi-hun tried to reach her, but time was running out. She had already handed him the baby. She slowly moved forward and with tears in her eyes, she jumped. It was not to escape, not for money, but to keep Gi-hun alive who can protect her baby. Out of 24, 16 players fell off the bridge. That wasn't surrender. It was the most selfless act in Squid Game history. These were the deaths of those who played the game, but the next ones, they died just trying to find where the game was being played. They weren't players, they weren't guards, they were hunters, ex-loan sharks, ex-soldiers, the desperate and the dangerous, recruited by Jun-ho to find the game and end it. For days they searched the ocean, putting faith in a man they barely knew, Captain Park Yong-gil, the man who saved Jun-ho, the man who smiled, the man who lied. Then came the dinner bell. One merc asked Park if he wanted food. Park answered with bullets. 6 men dropped before they could even draw. The boat turned red. No time to fight, no time to speak. Jun-ho returned to a massacre. Park just called it strategy, but he didn't get far. Woo-seok found the truth: cash, a mask, and betrayal. And Jun-ho didn't wait. One harpoon, one shot. Park collapsed, choking on blood and guilt. And the next deaths didn't stop Jun-ho. They led him closer, closer to the island, closer to the game, and closer to the truth buried in blood. Player 246, Park Gi-young-seok, was saved by Kong No-yul, disguised as a guard, and planned to escape the island with her. But when the masked officer threatened her about player 246's daughter, No-yul turned back and told Gi-young-seok to go alone. He raced off by boat, chased by 3 guards. He managed to shoot one but ran out of ammo. Just as the last 2 aimed to finish him, they were shot dead. Jun-ho and leader Kim arrived, 3 guards dead chasing for player 246. Now we move to the final deaths of the season, where survival was no longer an option, and every breath felt borrowed. These weren't just eliminations, these were the final reckoning. The final game begins. No more hiding, no more teams. 3 rooftops, 1 bridge, 9 players including the baby. And the rule was simple. One must fall or all will die. 15 minutes, 1 button. And the first death? It wasn't a fight, it was almost a quiet suicide, a broken soul stepping off so the rest could move on. Min-soo wasn't a killer, he wasn't a fighter. He was a guilt-stricken ghost of the boy who once voted X, haunted by the deaths he couldn't stop. Samee, Thanos, Nam-gyu. Min-soo came to the finals hoping for redemption, not victory. But mercy has a price, and someone had to pay it. In the Sky Squid Game, the players argued, someone had to die for the bridge to appear. Myung-gi advised them, and pointed to Min-soo. Min-soo stood trembling at the rooftop edge, eyes glazed, seeing someone no one else could. He was high on drugs which were inside Thanos' cross, a soft voice in his mind. Samee, whispering comfort, maybe forgiveness, just for a second. He smiled. Then came the pole. Not a push, a choice. Myung-gi jabbed it into his chest. Min-soo didn't fight back. He stumbled. He fell. No scream, no struggle, just silence and wind. Min-soo's story ended with a hallucination and a fall that felt like surrender. But the next player got caught in his own trap, and it cost him everything. Seung-won wasn't just a survivor, he was a brawler, brutal in the special game, cold during the vote. He beat a man and barely flinched. survived all the games. But by the triangle, all that fight turned to fear, and fear makes monsters. After the first round, the group wanted to eliminate the child, but Gi-hun was holding her, so they tied themselves together in a fake show of unity and lied about drawing lots. Seung-kwan went straight for Gi-hun with fists raised, but Gi-hun didn't flinch. He drew the knife the front man gave him and slashed back, forcing Seung-kwan to stumble. That's when Myung-gi stepped in.
Fucking do it! Out of the way!
Gi-hun stepped aside, and Seung-wan met the pole, full force, right to the chest. One shove, one scream, one drop, and another death of the season. The next deaths weren't strategy, they were punishment. A brutal consequence for daring to lay a hand on the baby. Kim Yun-tae stood tall, one of the few who never blinked through 6 brutal games. He backed Oh like it was scripture, but loyalty means nothing when the floor is a rooftop and your allies are liars. When Myung-gi switched sides, Yun-tae's face twisted from confusion to betrayal to rage. He rushed forward, fists clenched, fury in his veins. Then, a metal rod swept across the wind. Kicked in the ribs, feet left the ground. He spun through the sky like a broken puppet and vanished into the fog below. But the next one, he brought hell to the rooftop. Gi-min had always been a storm in human form, wild, violent, and burning with rage. When Seung-wan fell, he didn't flinch, but when Myung-gi kicked Yun-tae off the rooftop like trash, something in Gi-min snapped. He roared, charged, tackled Gi-hun to the floor like an animal unchained, fists flying, blood splattering. His hands locked around Gi-hun's throat, and for a second, it looked like he'd win, but Gi-hun fought back with everything he had. The blade flashed between them, once, twice, a third time. Gi-min's body jerked, then slumped. His fury died before he did. Next up, no death was more deserved. The lies, the shouting, the deals, all ended with a single drop. Player 100, Im Jung-dae had always been loud, always scheming, always shouting one more game, like the prize money owed him something. But in the Sky Squid Game, when all his allies lay dead, the noise finally caught up with him. First, he threw player 039 under the bus, calling him deadweight. Then came the bribes, 1.4 billion won split between Gi-hun and Myung-gi. A desperate discount on survival, but Myung-gi didn't even blink. A final shove from the rod, and Jung-dae's mouth fell silent as his body vanished over the edge. His last words? Begging for a deal that never existed. But the next death brought no gain to anyone. Player 039 survived hide and seek and slipped past jump rope without drawing much attention, but when his allies turned on him in Sky Squid Game, he was left broken and bleeding. They called him Lunchbox and beat him up, so nobody else had to bleed. With no one left to trust and death circling, he didn't wait to be pushed, he stepped off the edge himself. Now to the death of a man who'd sell his soul for a single one, the kind who'd trade blood for bills without blinking. Lee Myung-gi wasn't supposed to make it this far. A scammer, a father, a fighter, he played the game like he lived, calculating, desperate, and always one heartbeat from collapse. Hunted many players in hide and seek with Namgyu, survived in rope jump, but on the Sky Squid rooftop, it all came undone. After watching Gi-hun fight tooth and nail to save the baby, Myung-gi tried to take the child himself, believing he could protect her better. Gi-hun refused, and just moments later the truth showed. He'd kill his own baby without a second thought. Then what followed was pure chaos. Fists, knives, blood smeared across the concrete sky. They clung to the edge, both slipping, both gasping. Myung-gi's hand tore through his jacket fabric, one final rip, and he plummeted. His body vanished into the clouds below, a man who tried to do one last good thing, but couldn't hold on. He was the Sang-woo of Season 3, ruthless for the prize, cold to the end, and full of regret when it was too late. And finally, the last death, a fall not out of fear or failure, but a choice, the only one that was truly selfless. Player 456, Seong Gi-hun. After leading a rebellion against the games, Gi-hun lost everything. His allies were slaughtered, his revolution crushed by betrayal, and his vote revoked. Dragged back into the game, he was broken, handcuffed, and filled with guilt. He killed his friend Daeho in the 4th game, and from that moment on, Gi-hun was no longer fighting to win, he was fighting to redeem. Carrying Junhee's baby through jump rope, Gi-hun risked everything just to protect one innocent life. Even as the others plotted to eliminate him, he fought back, stabbing player 096, saving the baby, and surviving the chaos. In the Sky Squid Game, when the players tried separating him from the child, Gi-hun outplayed them all, turning the tide with a knife in raw desperation. He and player 333 cut down the final threats one by one. But as the end approached, Gi-hun was left with an impossible choice: kill the baby or himself. One life left to give, and only one worth saving. On the final platform, Gi-hun pressed the start button, kissed the baby on the forehead, and gently laid her down. No cameras, no speech, just a final act of defiance. He stepped off the edge, body plummeting into silence. His sacrifice ended the game, not with bloodlust, but with mercy. In the end, Gi-hun didn't win the prize. He didn't survive, but he did what no one else could. He beat the Squid Game by choosing to lose.